we good now? Okay.
Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Devin. I'm over the additional services here at Easy Storage Solutions, and
my name is Corey.
We help with onboarding for the SEO, online marketing, accounting and bookkeeping, and call answering. And today we're just going to be filling any questions you guys have as far as those go, and how facilities that are using those operate, success stories, and just any basic question you guys have in regards to those. So right now, everybody, all the attendees that are listening in, you'll be muted, but if you use the message panel on the right-hand side of the screen and you have a question, just message in and we'll read those questions aloud, and we'll get into the details of them. So
looks like a few of you guys have already been able to let us know that we don't have sound or that you can't hear, so you've already figured that out. And if we're not getting any questions, because sometimes you just really don't know what questions to ask, we'll go ahead and start. We have some frequently asked questions concerning our call center, our SEO, as well as our accounting, so we'll just kind of run through some of those, and we'll just start talking in the hopes that in our conversation, you guys might come up with some questions on your own. So yeah.
Let it rip.
So maybe we can start with the call center. Devin, a lot of people come when they have questions about the call center. A lot of people, first thing they might ask is like, do you guys actually field the calls, at Easy Storage Solutions? Because how a lot of call centers work is they actually, send your calls somewhere else. They hire like a third party. So how do we at Easy Storage Solutions take calls?
Right. So we get asked this question quite often when we're talking about the call service. A lot of the conversations that we have with owners, it's pretty cool because like we use the term call center, but our call answering service, like where it is technically a call center, it doesn't have any of the negative connotations that typically come along with call centers. All of our agents speak really good English. They're trained on the management software, and most importantly, they're located here at the Easy Storage building. And so that allows us to be a lot more in depth with our trainings, with our ability to control how agents answer calls, to train them on storage related topics, and make the answering process a lot more custom to storage specifically, and then to each individual facility that we onboard, the custom and unique features that facility has that we can answer based off of those.
Yeah.
So we have a question regarding the call center. How do you track the leads, and where is that information stored?
That's a good question. Right now we use the call service in conjunction with the management software, and so as potential tenants and your tenants rent units at the facility, we'll keep a note base in the management software based off our calls and interactions with tenants. The features of the call service, it allows us to rent units over the phone, take payments, help with people's account questions, and we have a note sheet that we'll create with the facility owner at the start of using the service, just to detail out specifics about the facility and specifics about the rental process. And so you'll have access to the management software as the owner. You can log in and look at all of your tenants' accounts in the software and see the interactions that our call agents have been having with them, the questions that they've been asking, how we respond to those questions, and the notes we kept in there. Thanks for that question.
Yeah.
That's a good
one. Can you take that Slack down so I can see our question? Okay, so let's see here.
Go over real quick what the call center hours are.
Yeah, because a lot of our clients are not in, because we're in-house, our call center hours are Mountain Time. A lot of our clients are East Coast or Central Standard Time. So our call center in Mountain Time is Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday, we are open 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and that we're not open on Sundays, right? So any calls that come in during odd hours will go to voicemail. You will get we will send you those voicemails to a preferred email of your choice. It's just going to come in as a downloadable file that you can download and listen to their voicemail. But it's not your responsibility to call those back. I mean, we have a policy at our call center that any voicemails that come in during odd hours must be returned on the next business day. And so our call agents aren't going to leave the office on Monday until all the voicemails from that weekend have been returned. So
yeah, and like Corey said, we've seen that work really well. We've been in the industry for a while as far as the call service side of things. And so our hours are based around high call volume times, and it works out really well for a lot of our clientele that's on the East Coast, because it adds an extra couple hours in the evening time for us to be fielding those phone calls. But yeah, during normal business operating hours, like our guys will be there to take those phone calls. And during the high call volume times, like we'll make sure that they're fielded. I think that's majority of what we wanted to go over as far as the hours go. We have another question.
I called and tested 2 facilities using your service. Neither agent asked me for my name, phone, or email. How would you track that lead? Do you have the phone number through caller ID, and would that be in the notes?
Through caller ID, I don't think the name would be tracked using caller ID. Is there specifics as far as the facility that you tried calling so that we could look into the details of it? Because in some cases we have several different call answering packages that we use just based off of like what the facility needs are. And so for some facilities, our most common use package, it's called our full-time answering package. And this is where we set up call forwarding to where 100% of the phone calls come directly to us. And then from there, it includes all the service details that we talked about. The other package is what we call our overflow answering. And again, this has to do with the call forwarding and when that takes place, but we set it up for what's called call no answer forwarding. And this is for facilities that have a manager in place. And so they'll still field a percentage of those phone calls and then they roll over to us. So in some of those cases, like you might be talking or calling and receiving somebody at the facility, and then if they can't pick up for whatever reason, then at 3 rings in that process, if they don't pick up, it rolls over to our call center for a full ring count.
I think another thing that's important with our call center is we aren't solely responsible for the rentals. You know, we don't just do rentals. That's a part of what we do is we try to rent units and we try to close those when people call in and are interested. We try to make sure that they're aware of the pricing, make sure that they're aware of the move-in instructions. But we're also a big bulk of what our call center does is customer service. We take the calls from people who have billing questions, who have account information questions. They need to maybe change their payment information. About 70% of the calls that our call center get from facilities comes from current tenants and their typically customer service questions. And when we do get quite a few calls that people call in just about pricing questions, pricing for a facility. We'll give them that pricing and we'll do our best to try to get them to rent there. But ultimately, our call agents, they're not just salesmen. They're skilled at closing facility, at making sure they sell rentals, but they're also customer service, and so we're fielding those calls as well.
Yeah. Which it was kind of a crazy stat for me to learn about, because I always had the impression that when people called into the call center, it was to rent a unit. Majority of the phone calls that our call center helps out with are just account questions, people that have issues with their billing, about late payments. And so the call center's ability to take off a lot of that workload, a lot of those phone calls that are ringing owners all day when they're trying to, especially when they're trying to focus on other jobs that maybe it's their full-time job or other side businesses that they have in relation to storage, the call center can help with offloading a lot of that. But
Next, switching topics, what is the cost of the marketing service that you offer? We are getting ready to open our first facility and it has 34 units.
Oh, very nice. That's exciting. Congratulations. Do you want to go into the cost of online marketing?
So the cost of our marketing service is typically dependent upon the competition in that area. And that ranges from $150 a month to $200 a month. So if you have a facility in Dallas, Texas, there's going to be a lot of competition there. That would probably be upwards of $175 to $200 a month. In a smaller, less competitive market, and a majority of our market is that $150 per month. It's the pricing of our SEO and marketing service is not dependent upon how many units or available spaces you have to rent. It's dependent upon the competition in your area.
Yep, absolutely. So as you look at your market and determine like what are going to be the most effective means for marketing and getting your facility's name out there, that's one thing to keep into consideration. Like we've been doing marketing here for about the last, I'd say 8 to 10 years. We've had this service going, and we recognize search engine optimization is a huge means for making sure that people can find your facility, because most often, and I can attest to this, that the few times that I've rented a storage unit in my life, I pulled out my phone and I made a search for storage in my area. So what SEO does is it helps your facility to rank organically for your area. So it's capturing on those organic leads, it's capturing on those clicks, and helping convert those and those people that are searching for it into renters.
Yeah, what an organic lead simply means is when people are just looking for a storage facility in their area, and they Google storage facilities my area, and they click on your website. That's an organic lead. They're not actually typing in your URL. They're not looking for your specific facility, but they're just searching for storage and they click on yours. That's huge. That's a lot of revenue right there, and that's why it's so important to rank well in this industry, because storage it's not an impulse buy business, right? It's not something that it's Facebook, social media. Those are great for selling golf clubs and selling things like that you might get people to impulsively buy. But in storage, you either need storage or you don't. And if you need it, you're typically going to Google storage near me. You're going to look at websites. You're going to look at pricing. It's so important to rank well in this industry. It's so important to have a good website that has good features. It's quick, easy to use. There's links to the pricing and to the Rent Now page are really simple. And our marketing team is all about helping that happen.
So is there a form that they can fill out? If you fill out a form, send your information in, then we can give you a call or shoot you an email right after and look more into your specific situation. Look at where your facility's at, and we'll get you a more specific price quote. But I would, yeah, like Corey said, it usually ranges anywhere from $150 to like $250 on the high end for those more competitive areas.
Yeah, they had to register to get in, so we can grab her email and just shoot her an email after.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll reach out to you, and we'll at least talk to you about the details and see if it's a good fit for what you're looking to do.
Next question, going back to call answering. Your service mentions the use of a local business phone number. What is the advantage of using one, and how does it work?
Very good question. So the local business number, the advantages of using it is that when somebody makes a call in your local area, that it just has like a local area code associated with it. And we can help you get a number if your facility doesn't already have one. And then depending on like how you want to answer the calls, whether you want that phone number forwarded to you, to your manager, or if you want to start using our call service to help fill those incoming calls. Yeah, we can definitely do that. If you use the call service and have us take the phone calls, then that getting you a number is included with that service. So we'll get you the number for free. You can advertise it on your website. We'll technically be the provider for that number. And just like a domain name for your website, if you guys ever need access to that phone number for whatever reason, we can port it over to your provider so that you'll have it long-term for the life of your business.
And I love how simple it is for us to make that happen, the phone number situation. I mean, I sign people up for the call answering service all the time. They're new facilities. I ask them like, well, what is your plan as far as phone calls go? Who's going to be taking the calls? They say like, well, hopefully we would like for you guys to be managing those calls. And my next question is, okay, well, do you have a number for the facility that you're purchasing, or if you're building a facility, have you purchased a number? A lot of times they say no, and I can just say, hey, we can get you a local number. It's really simple. And I just ask for the area code. Then I message our managers over to the call center, and they give me 3 options for numbers in that area. I'll let you guys know what those options are, and you can pick one, and then we'll just have that set up in your account. If you use our call center, that number is always going to be associated with you. A lot of people are concerned, like, well, what happens, if I use the call center, but then I need to cancel for some reason? Are you guys gonna? Do I have to buy that number from you? The answer is no. We'll just simply transfer that number back to you, so you have it. We don't hold it from you or anything like that. So
there's a couple of questions just asking how the pricing works for call answering.
Very good. Yeah, those the pricing questions, a lot of it is specific based off like what you need at the facility and like the workload that you want us to take on. Typically, it ranges anywhere from $2 per unit to $3 per unit, just depending on like what type of answering you want us to do for you and like what the needs are at the facility. So those are a little bit ballpark ranges, but again, like if you're interested in looking more into the service details, like we can reach out to you after the show and get into the details with you and get you a specific quote.
Yeah. And that $2 to $3 range, it depends, like Devin said, on the types of calls we're taking. So a lot of people, they just want us to take 100% of the calls, just be remote management for my facility, right? Handle the rentals, handle the customer service, and take 100% of them. For those people, it's the $3 per unit per month, right? And for those that were just backup or overflow, that's when it's about $2 per unit per month. So we're just simply taking the calls you missed. The initial call goes to your facility, but if you guys can't get to the phone after a few rings, it's going to transfer over to our call center, and we'll take that call. So yeah.
That's all right now.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep. We try to make it as simple and streamlined as possible. There's a lot of details like surrounding each one of the services, but in explaining those details, make sure that like you have the right understanding and the right expectations for what you're getting out of the service. Really, like we try to follow the name of the company. We try to make these solutions as easy and simple as possible and remove work from the facility owner. So that's the main goal in each one of these additional services, is just making sure that we're providing value and assistance to the owner in the day-to-day operations.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we've talked about call answering quite a bit. We can do a couple of more frequently asked questions with the SEO and then move to accounting. Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
Go into a little bit of why do I need SEO? Like we touched on that a little bit. Maybe like what is SEO and like why is SEO important?
Okay. You go ahead and talk a little bit about what SEO is, and then I can talk about why it's so important.
Okay. So my background here at Easy Storage is I started with a marketing company about 4 years ago. And prior to that, I hadn't heard or had much exposure to search engine optimization at all to that point. But I quickly learned like how valuable it is as far as like digital marketing and making sure that like your business gets the right exposure online, especially for a business like storage, where, as Corey alluded to earlier, it's not very much an impulse buy. Like people are very they're very prone to, when they need that kind of service, they want it as quick and as painless as possible, because everybody hates storing stuff and everybody hates moving. Like it's a hassle. And so typically they're trying to just get that over with as quick as they can. They make a search, they pull out their phone or they get on their computer and they make a search for storage. And the number one factor I've seen in talking to people about it is convenience. Like they're looking at facilities that are close to them, and then they start looking at features like what the facility has, like security features and climate controlled features, and do they have a paved driveway? Am I going to be driving in through the mud, or do they have a gate around their facility? They look at features like that after convenience, and then it's a matter of price point. As long as that price is somewhere in the general ballpark of what's fair to pay for a facility, then like they're golden. Like they rent that unit and they check their to-do box and they get done with it. So this is where SEO really comes into play. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And what's going on, what our SEO team is working on is they follow what's called Google's best practices. And these are just rules and guidelines that Google wants to see implemented on the website on a consistent basis. And there's a couple of factors there and keywords that, and I don't mean to use keyword out of place, but the keyword, the key phrase there is consistency. Google is looking at a website and they want to see consistent work, consistent best practices being implemented into that website. And as they see those things happening, they start to trust that website more. And then they become more apt to want to refer it to people that are making searches, because now it's trusted content. So something to keep in mind while using a service like this is it's not a process that happens overnight. It takes time to build up that trust, that relationship with Google to where they view your site as trusted content. And so our service, like part of what our marketing guys do is they'll send you out detailed monthly reports that will break down very, very specifically like what progress you've made so far and the results that you've been able to achieve through the service. And you'll get these on a monthly basis. So talking a little bit about those reports, because this is really where the rubber hits the road as far as SEO marketing goes. This is how you see as the owner what you're paying for and where your money is going as far as like ROI for the business. This is how you track that. So these reports go into two main sections. One of them is a ranking category. It'll break down individual keywords, and it'll show you like where you're ranking for that keyword and how many spots you moved up on a month-by-month basis. And so you can track and see like, okay, these are the hot keywords that people are most often searching and finding storage in my area with. And then on the other side, the other section of those reports, they go into Google Analytics. And this is essential as well, because as you increase in the rankings for different keywords, the analytics are going to show you how much traffic you're getting because of that increase. It'll show you important key indicators and break down, this is how much traffic you're getting this month as opposed to last month because you moved up X amount of spots. This is how that traffic is interacting with your website. It breaks down like how many pages they're viewing per session, how long they're spending per page, what the bounce rate is.
Oh yeah.
So that you can see, like I said, that the money that you're putting into this is having good value in return. And the more traffic you get, the more people that are viewing your website, your occupancy is going to start going up as a result of that. Your website rentals, how people, and which is a big factor in itself, because it's removing somebody renting online is removing a lot of the issues that come with having to ring your phone and somebody walking into your facility and having to have somebody there to answer those questions. It just streamlines and automates that entire process and makes it a lot more simple.
Yeah. And so, you know, you're sitting there like, I know, okay, SEO sounds good. I know I need it. Or I know this would be really valuable for my business just to generate more organic searches. But this is just another thing I have to add onto my plate. It's another service that is going to take time away from my focus on other things to get started and all this stuff. It's easy to have that thought, and we just want you to know that to get set up with this service, very simple, right? That the first few weeks of the service, your account manager, your marketing agent, is going to be reaching out to you and getting some basic questions about your facility. So we know what keywords to plug in, we know what types of storage you offer. And right now, you know, because it can be a little bit stressful to start a new service, we do a 1 month free. So your first month with this service is free. And that, like I said, that gives us that 1 month period to really build that relationship with you, to help you understand this is our process, this is what we're going to be doing. You can trust us, and we can get it started. I mean, the first steps, first and foremost, we want to make sure you have a Google My Business listing, and then we're going to start, getting some basic information about your facility. So, yeah, we want to reiterate, the first month of this service is free. We recommend, as long as the service is working for you and your facility, which we're very confident, we have a lot of skilled marketing agents here, stick with it, let it keep working for you. So,
yeah, and I would say even like right now, like where SEO does take time to build up and to be effective, it's something that is it's very much associated with momentum. Like the longer you keep it going, like Corey said, and as you see those results, it's important to keep that work going. I have a lot of conversations with people this time of year specifically, and right now, with the whole country being just iced over with these winter storms that we're going through, which if you can see this, it's a good news because that says you have power. These winter months are a very good time as far as just like mentally saying like, all right, storage searches aren't going to be high right now. Like not a lot of people are out wanting to move their stuff. And across the country, we see those search volumes pick up a lot in the spring months. And so I tell people right now that these winter months are a good time to invest, to build up that ranking so that by the time spring rolls around and storage is a lot more heavily searched item, that you're sitting in a lot better spot. And if you have that kind of mindset when it comes to SEO, those are the types of facilities that we see are super successful with it, because the ones that give it the time it takes to be successful and set those benchmarks, like, all right, I'm going to start this now, I'm going to invest these months so that I can rank better by this time spring comes. And then sometimes those search volumes, it dies down a little bit throughout the summertime, but it picks right back up again in the fall. And so like if you keep SEO going through the summer, you're sitting in a ton better place by the time fall comes. And technically speaking, another reason to keep it going that's important is Google's constantly changing their search algorithm. Like those principles and best practices that Google looks for, as people become more savvy with online shopping and the consumer uses the search engine in different ways, Google updates like how their best practices need to be applied to websites. And so part of having an SEO service, and an important thing to look for is to make sure that it's ongoing SEO, that your SEO team is very up to date with what's going on in the Google world so that they keep those best practices and the most up to date optimizations happening on your website on a consistent basis. So,
yeah, and something that I like to stress to a lot of people that I talk to in this industry is it is important to have a marketing budget in this industry, to have a marketing strategy. A lot of people get into this business because it's such a smart business. Storage is such a brilliant business to get into because it's simple and there's a lot of cash flow. But that also sometimes creates this mentality in people's mind that, oh, because this is such a good business, there's a lot of cash flow, I don't really need to do anything about marketing because I have a sign out front, or because a lot of people drive. I have my facility right by a freeway and a lot of people drive by. This is an online world. It's so important to invest, to have a marketing budget and use SEO as a part of that budget. I know it can sometimes hurt because it's just more money, but if all you see is the money going out, then you're gonna be more skeptical of the service because the money is gonna come back. Those organic searches are going to increase the longer you use the service, and that just means more renters. So just prioritize a marketing budget and do whatever you can to and try to prioritize using search engine optimizations. That's our recommendation.
Going through our questions here. Is there any new questions on the chat?
Not yet.
All right, guys.
We can do number 5. So
good question.
A lot of people call in, they say, all right, I am interested in SEO. How long is it going to take me, Corey, to rank number 1? I want to rank number 1 in my area. I want to be at the top. I have all these SEO companies, I have other SEO companies I've talked to, and they promised me that I'm gonna be ranking #1 in X amount of months. How long is it gonna take for you guys to get me ranking #1? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a very loaded question. It's a question that I would ask like 4 years ago, is like, all right, how long is this going to take? Because it's just a practical thing to ask. The answer that we typically give people is, it depends. It depends on a lot of different factors. #1 being like the competition in that area. If you look into like a market, and like we have like I think 1,300 facilities that we do this for across the country. And so we have a lot of, I guess, data from different types of markets, probably every single type of market that you can think of, like small town, couple hundred people, few units at the facility. Like, yeah, we have facilities in areas like that. And then we have facilities in metropolitan cities, like some of the largest in the country, like New York and Dallas, Texas, Tampa Bay. So the #1 thing to look at is like how competitive that market is, and 2, like how many other facilities there are doing quality SEO, which in the storage industry, a lot of times, like this is a very good time to get into digital marketing, to get into search engine optimization, because like historically the storage industry is a little bit behind the times as far as technology goes and how it's implemented. And so we see it happening more and more. Like if you before the COVID pandemic, if you went to trade shows, like you're starting to see more and more people speak on the importance of digital marketing, like having a good quality website that's built around elements of conversion, and then making sure that you're doing SEO so that you can get that website to rank and to have the exposure that you need to get in front of people that are searching for it. So those types of factors, like are there a lot of people in your market? And then #2, like, are the people that are there, are they doing quality SEO? Because it's going to be a lot more, I say easy, but easy is a relative term. Is it going to be easier to jump over websites that aren't doing quality SEO than a market full of people that are savvy with it, they're doing SEO, which just kind of underscores the importance of getting it going sooner rather than later. A lot of people we talk to, they say like, oh, yeah, like I'll turn that on in a few months. Like when things pick up again in the spring, like it's something that I could see myself turning on. And it's just a matter of like changing that mindset to be like more of an investment. Like I'm going to invest into building up this present. I'm going to invest into putting my money into having a platform that people can find me on and rent units more easily. I have a quick story about a unit that I rented in Delta, Utah. And this would fall under the category of a very small market. Delta, most people have never heard of it, even in Utah. But it's kind of out in the middle of the West Desert, but that's where I grew up. And my dad was having some health issues that lived up there. And so me and my family, we went up there to help him move some stuff into a storage unit. And first thing we did, of course, we pull out our phones and we search for storage in Delta. And of the 3 facilities that are there, none of them had a web presence. And so we tracked down the numbers, we called these facilities, and the manager that answered, he's like, well, I think we have a couple 10x20s if you want to head over. I was like, all right. So we reserved one of the 10x20s. We load up all this stuff. We show up at the facility, and we are literally walking around this guy's yard right at dark. We're checking padlocks, and he's like, I know I had a couple around here somewhere. And it made me laugh, like being in the storage industry. And of course I talked to this guy and I was just like, well, yeah, have you ever heard of Easy Storage Solutions management software? And we just kind of have some back and forth, but it underscores the importance of making that process, the painful process of moving and storing stuff, just making it simple on people. Make it easy for them to find your facility. Make it easy for them to see what product you have available, what unit types, and then make it easy for them to rent and get their stuff into those units so they can check that box and be on with the fun stuff that they have to do in their life. kind of went over how do I know that SEO is working. Monthly reports. Any marketing company that you go with, and any type of marketing, make sure that you can have a tangible way to see, one, if it's providing more renters at the facility, if you're actually increasing in occupancy. But a lot of times it's hard to track actual like people in the unit conversions, and it's more about tracking the metrics that lead up to that, like getting people to call your number, getting people to view your website, getting people to click on the rent button on your rent page. Those type of metrics, like, they're a lot more realistic as far as being able to track. But the key there is make sure that you have adequate reporting that shows you metrics that are leading up to success.
Yeah, I mean, how many people have we worked with that they have SEO for 6 months and they call in and they say, hey, SEO is not working very well. What the heck? And we get on the phone with them. Their marketing agent gives them a call, and we look at the data. We look at the monthly reports. It's like, no, their ranking is amazing. Their organic searches are high, but they're not translating into rentals. And so we look at their pricing. We look at the competition in the area. We look at that pricing. It's like, oh, hey, it looks like your pricing's a little bit off. Let's make this a little bit more competitive for the area. And that's all about that relationship. It's all about that communication with the client, with the marketing agent, and figuring out, 6 months down the road, let's evaluate how are these organic searches translating into sales. If it's low, let's figure out the pricing. It's good to have another person in your corner that's helping you with your business, that knows the industry well, that knows the marketing, knows the digital space well. So I think that's a huge, huge value of the service.
Absolutely, yeah.
We got a question.
Cool, great.
Tell me why you'd want a Google business page even for small facilities.
Oh, that's a solid question. Do you want to give your 2 cents on that?
Yeah. So a Google My Business page or a Google My Business listing, that is the first thing that people are going to see when they Google for a facility in your area. Is that listing is going to pop up, and it's very helpful information for your prospective tenants, right? Because it's going to have a link to how to get directions to your facility, for one, right? It's going to have a link to your website. It's going to have, and then it's going to have contact information, all right there. They don't have to go searching for it. That's just going to pop up. So the convenience of having a Google listing is so important. That's my thought. There's a reason why setting up a Google My Business listing is the very first thing that we do in our search engine optimization strategy, because that information is critical. If you don't have a Google My Business listing and your competitors do, their information is going to be up front, and it's more risky to lose that business. So
absolutely, yeah, I would agree 100% with that. And just to echo what Corey's saying there, a lot of people, they use Google on a daily basis. Like, I'm definitely one of those, and my wife is for sure one of those people. But they really don't understand how Google is broken down as far as a search result page. And typically there's 3 main elements to that search page. Right at the top, in most areas, you have a few businesses that are running ads. So if I type in self-storage in St. George, Utah, there's typically like 2 or 3 businesses that are paying for that ad exposure space. They're paying Google to show up at the top of that page. And right beneath the ad section, those people that are paying, there's the map section. And this is what contains those Google My Business listings that Corey's talking about. It's absolutely essential to get that set up. It's a free service. You don't have to pay anything to Google. You don't have to pay anything to really anybody to get that set up. You just fill out your information. You put your website link in there for your facility. But sometimes it can be quite a hassle to get that going. So it's a service that we offer here as part of our SEO package to help get that business listing set up, to get it set up the right way and to have the right elements that's pulling the right information and has it in convenient places so that people that are viewing it can access it quickly.
Also the reviews too.
Yeah, reviews. It contains reviews about your business so that you can get a quick glance reference as far as like what businesses are good to do business with, and then what businesses you might want to keep scrolling past. So yeah, review strategy is huge with those listings. And then the third element, right beneath the map section, there's the regular website listings. So search engine optimization will help you rank in both the map listings and in the regular website listings. SEO affects both of those areas. So even for a small facility, it's important to get that set up and to couple it and pair that with quality SEO on the website, because part of the SEO process is Google's looking at a bunch of different factors when they determine like how much they trust that website and how they're going to rank it. And so part of that is Google My Business listing. Part of it's the reviews on that listing. Part of it is the SEO that's going on the website, the content that's there, how that content's optimized, the technical aspects of that website, like how quickly the page speeds are loading, how the customer can interact with the web page. And this is where it gets really valuable to have somebody that understands all of these things and can pull it all together in a way that Google is looking for, so that you get the best bang for the buck out of your website, so that people can find it and use it easily and access what they're looking to find.
Yeah. Also, I would just say, like, don't sell yourself short. Like, even if you're a small storage facility, like, it's your facility still deserves, and you as a business owner deserve to have the best marketing and the best website presence you can, right? Whether that's you go with SEO or not, give yourself the best chance. Like, you're still putting in so much work on this property and on this facility, so much money and efforts going into it. Like, go the extra mile and make sure you have a Google My Business listing. Make sure you have some sort of marketing strategy. Just because you might be a smaller facility doesn't mean that you still don't need those things, or that you don't, like, deserves the wrong word, but like, it's still the right thing to do. It's professional. Just because you're a small facility doesn't mean you don't need to have like a professional online, presence. So
absolutely. And I just in a closing, I guess, comment on that thought is all of Easy Storage services. Easy Storage itself is set up for the small to medium-sized facilities, and so all of the services that we have here are catered to these small to medium-sized businesses to make sure that they provide the right elements of value, the right elements of functionality, and that is brought to you at a price point that it doesn't break the bank for smaller facilities. So these elements that we're talking about as far as SEO marketing and making sure that your calls are answered, your accounting and bookkeeping, like these are all, they're kind of the pillars that hold up a successful business. It's stuff that we found with our facilities that we run and manage, that it's the stuff that we want streamlined, that we know that's absolutely critical to make sure that it's being done at a professional level, but that it's done at a price point that small to medium-sized facilities can afford. And so that's kind of the package and I guess the mission statement that Easy Storage has. It's just simplifying the storage process. And yeah, as the question entails, like, especially for those smaller facilities.
Yeah. No,
so we haven't had any questions about the accounting and bookkeeping portion yet. And this is the one that it almost feels like you have to have a degree in something to be able to speak on it.
Yeah.
Me and Corey, we're not accountants, we're not CPAs, but we do have that department here that they are the experts on it. They can speak on taxes. They've done a lot of research for the facilities that sign up for that service to make sure that they're taking advantage of all the different tax strategies, and they're keeping very detailed, consistent books so that there's an accurate and solid financial base that the facility is operating on. We have a lot of conversations about it, and we give our accounting guys, it's always a joke at the office that anytime you talk to them, like a lot of just even the conversation that they talk to you with, it goes right over your head.
Yeah.
But as we talk about accounting for storage facilities, kind of the consensus is like as we look into how people are doing their books and how they're recording financial transactions, whether it's the revenue added or expenses that the facility has, a lot of people, it's probably the most neglected of the 3 services that we offer. A lot of people think that, well, first they think like, yeah, I'll just make sure that I'm doing that and I'm doing it consistently. I'll keep all the receipts. But after even a few weeks, like most people, if they're honest with themselves, they let that go right out the window. And then at the end of the year, when tax season rolls around, it's kind of like a day of reckoning, and they're trying to pull all that information together and track it down, and they just miss stuff. And so the big value that comes in with the accounting service is not only the professional aspect of making sure that everything is done the right way, but just the consistency in how it's handled, making sure that month by month that each account is reconciling the way that it should, and that you're getting a record of accurate financials that you can keep database of, so that as you make decisions moving forward, like should we put more into our marketing budget, or should we put more into some type of management, whether it's hiring a manager or offboarding the calls to a call service, that you can make those and feel comfortable about them because you know that where you're standing financially. So accounting questions that we get asked on a day-to-day basis, as far as just like how we operate, I would think a big one is just the accounting software that we use. Like a question that I always talk to facility owners right up front about is like, how are you doing your bookkeeping right now? Like, is it the facility owner himself, or does he have a manager that's taking care of those books? And in a lot of cases, facility owners are using spreadsheets, which that can be a very it can be a very tedious way to do it if you're a very I guess organized person, unlike myself. If you're very good at every time you make an expense or buy something or take money to the bank, making sure that you record those things, like sheets can be a good way to do that. But a lot of times, like I said, people let that slip through the cracks. And so having having a software that connects with the management software that you use to keep track of your renters can be a lifesaver. It can save you a ton of time and be super valuable, and automatically integrating like the amount that you bring in from your rent roll and putting that into your accounting software. So we use QuickBooks Online, and that integrates with the management software, and that's what we use to keep track of both the rent revenue that we see from the management software, and also we link that with the bank account that's associated with the facility, so that we can see any expenses that come out, any charges on the credit card, the loan information. Like we can see all that there, and we can make sure month by month that it's recorded in the correct category, and that it's also recorded consistently. Is there anything you want to add as far as the accounting?
Yeah, I would just say, talking about the onboarding for the accounting, right? If you're someone that says, I'm interested, but you guys aren't CPAs, you guys aren't accountants, so I would like, a lot of our clients would like to talk with someone in our accounting department. That's what I really appreciate about our accounting department, is they're readily available to talk with prospective clients, right? People who are interested in the service. So if any of you guys are out there that are interested in this accounting service, we would love to help you out. We can hop on a call with Ty. He's a great resource to have. We can go over your facility. We can talk about cost. And with this webinar that we're doing here, we're doing a 1-month free promotion. So anyone that signs up for the accounting service, your first month is free, as well as our call answering, as well as our SEO. And that month gives us a lot of time to track down your accounting information, to really reconcile your books, things like that. So
also with that, I know we've talked about SEO marketing earlier today, and we talked about the call service, about us building phone calls. After this presentation, I think there's going to be a deep dive into the accounting and bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And the head of the accounting department, Ty Meinhardt, he's going to go into detail. He'll be answering questions, explaining how things work. And so if any of you guys watching, like if you have any questions on these and just want to get more information, we're always more than happy to jump on a phone, and we'll ask you some questions about your facility, and we'll jump into the details, and we'll explain just as far as things that we've seen work really well. We can give you recommendations as far as our experience with different markets and different sizes of facilities, things that we've seen work super well and things that haven't. And it can give you a lot of valuable insight as far as just the next move to make as far as your facility is concerned, and hopefully save you time and at least give you peace of mind that things are operating and performing how they should.
Yeah.
We do have a question on just what is the cost of accounting and bookkeeping services?
Oh, very good. Yeah. So the pricing for the bookkeeping service, it depends on the size of facility. It typically ranges anywhere from like $200 on the low end to
175 on the low end.
175 on the low end to 450 plus. And the higher price points are usually for people that have multiple facilities, and they have separate bank accounts, since we're having to do different types of classes of accounting for those. But just a single facility usually ranges anywhere from 175 to 350.
Yeah. So our average price point is about $250 to $300 a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that includes bookkeeping, making sure that we're keeping good, accurate, consistent records of the books. We're sending you the monthly financials. We take care of 1099s.
Depreciation.
Depreciation of assets. And then tax return too. Like, we'll help if a facility has a tax representative in place that they like to go through. We don't want to sever any relationships. So for some of our clients, like, we work with their tax guy, we get them all the information and the financials that they need to file at the end of the year. But I'd say about half of our facilities that we do the accounting for, they just have us file those tax returns for them. We've had some awesome success stories about just recognizing certain ways that people are filing that was incorrect.
Tax laws, different states.
Being able to amend those and save facility owners tons of money in filing taxes at the end of the year, which can be, in a lot of cases, it pays for the services 10 times over as far as the amount that they were able to save. So I think it's absolutely something that most facility owners should at least look into. Have that conversation and give us a call, and we can look over the details and see if you'd be a good candidate for what we have to offer.
I feel like our retention with our accounting clients is really high. Like, people who trust us with the accounting, who use this service, they stick with it. Right now, there's this impression, especially in this market, with smaller storage facilities, that using an in-house accounting service is like a luxury item. It's like, oh, I have a smaller facility, I'm not big enough to do that. I think we're starting to get away from that perception. Like, this isn't just a luxury, but like it's a really important piece of my business to make sure the books are done correctly, to make sure I have professional CPAs that are helping me out. And like Devin said, we have a lot of success stories that where, you know, in the long run, we save people quite a bit of money. So yeah, stick around, because Ty is going to be hopping on here pretty shortly, and he's great, and he's going to be able to give you guys a lot more detailed information. I mean, that's his job. So
there's a lot of accounting wisdom in there.
Does.
You just have to be able to listen to an accountant speak.
That's your brother too. So
yeah, I can say that. That's my brother. So as far as a good time to wrap up, do you have any more questions, Kyle?
What is a smaller facility under 40K square feet?
For
Accounting. That's
accounting.
accounting, I
Size-wise.
think. It's the same person who asked the price question.
I think maybe they're just wondering, like, what do we consider a smaller facility in general? And then
good question.
Obviously clarify if I'm misunderstanding the question.
The price for, yeah, well, I guess like what we would consider a smaller
that's
facility.
Were they talking about in reference to the accounting or just in general?
in the accounting.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I would say,
150.
yeah, that would be at the lower price point for sure for the accounting service, which most typically is $175 a month.
Yeah.
But again, like we can reach out to you after this meeting and look at the specifics for your facility and see if there's any potential for savings there, or like just see what your specific needs are. So we can absolutely have that conversation and jump into the details to see if it'd be a good fit. What do you guys
Clarify
think?
like what you mean by a small facility.
Oh,
So,
clarify.
like unit, I'm assuming it's
Yeah.
unit size
Yeah.
or how
It's-
many units you have on site.
That's
Yeah.
a good question, yeah.
So we base size of facility off of number of units because you could have,
Or rentable spaces, not just like units, but-
rentable spaces. And the reason being is like you can have a very large facility that has 5 units, but they're all gigantic units. So the square footage looks huge and it looks impressive, but as far as like rentable spaces, they don't have that many units, and so you're not dealing with a bunch of different tenants in the management software and a bunch of different rental income. And likewise, you can have a bunch of small units fit into a large space. And so that's what we look at when we determine facility size is unit count. And like our perception, I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but just in case, our perception of smaller facilities is typically like 100 units or less is what we typically deem as like a smaller facility. Anything bigger than that, it's like small to medium size. But just like everything else in life, it depends on a few different factors that we look at.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah.
Because in reality, Easy Storage Solution, most of the clients that we work with, that we work really well, the software works really well with, is from the industry standards, small storage facilities.
Right. Right.
So, and then we have our own perception of small facilities.
Yeah, the nuanced view of breaking it down into just more specific categories in the small to medium sized market. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, great questions. We appreciate you guys' participation. We always enjoy doing these because it gives us an opportunity to just branch out and talk to other facility owners. And number one, like the funnest part about working at Easy Storage and just this position in general is just being able to help facility owners and see that as they utilize these kind of services, the success that comes with that.
Yeah.
And how it helps their operations, how it helps them to expand their portfolios and to grow into obtaining different properties and apply those same services and the same things that they learned. So it's something that we get really jazzed up about. We have a lot of fun talking about it. We have a lot of fun helping facility owners with this kind of thing. So yeah, in the future, like we hope that the people listening in, that we can talk to you and develop a relationship and go over some of these things that we're discussing here.
Yeah. And as far as our department, like we mentioned at the beginning, Deb and I were over the additional services. We have a third additional service representative. His name is Braxton. So if any of you guys call in and are interested in one of these 3 additional services or tenant protection, then you'll either be on the phone with one of us 3, myself, Corey, Devin, or Braxton, and we look forward to helping you and working with you. So
awesome. Thanks, guys. And we'll wrap up here. If you have any questions, give us a call or shoot us an email.
Cool.
What's your phone number?
Phone number for me would be 435-201-7030.
Yeah, and my phone number is 435-459-4785. And obviously you can always call into our customer support as well. You guys know that off the top of your head?
435-656-1990.
There you go, yeah. And if anytime you can call into our customer support during our business hours, and they'll patch you over to one of us 3 in the additional services, or we gave you our personal work lines, and so just give us a call or a text anytime, and I would love to help you out.
Thanks, guys. Take
Okay,
care.
guys.